Hello friends, in today's video we are going to discuss a very common problem that we all face while creating formulas in Excel. That means suppose we have created a formula in one cell and we want to copy it down. Then we often face an issue how to lock the cell and where to lock the cell. For example, here we have the total deposits of all these account holders and we need to calculate interest on these deposits. The rate of interest is given in one cell only. So every time we need to take this deposit, multiply by this interest rate. But if the data is huge, we need to create a formula in one cell which can be copied down. So I will go ahead and create a formula is equal to this deposit into this cell into this cell and enter. So 27,000, 2,75,000, 4% is 11,000. But if I copy this down, what will happen? Am I getting 4% of all other deposits in other cells? No. Why? Because I have not locked the cell. Moreover that, suppose we want to create a huge database like this, where this cell should be multiplied by this cell, and going forward this cell should be multiplied by this cell should be multiplied by this cell, and like that. So I need to create a formula in one cell which can be copied to all the database. How do we do that without error? And that is where we come across a cell reference, absolute cell reference and mixed cell reference. This is the topic of the video today, so stay tuned till the end of this video. If you are not subscribed to the channel yet, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Hello friends, and welcome to Boost Your Career, the place where you learn the skills to grow in your career. So this is the database that we have. These are the names of account holders and these are the months in which the deposit is being done. And this is the total deposit that we need to calculate with the help of formula. Now this is the first step that we are taking here, where we are learning how to put the relative cell reference. That means we are creating a formula in one cell and we will just simply copy this down. So here the case is very simple. We want the sum of all these deposits for these 6 months. So is equal to, I will put the formula is equal to sum formula is there, tab, and I will select this range C5 to H5 and then I will enter. So my formula is sum C5 to H5. Now if I copy this down, what will happen? I'm getting the sum of all these numbers. For example, here I have the sum here 22,000, which I am getting correctly. So I am getting the sum of all other deposits for all other account holders correctly, because simply I copied this formula down. But what happened to formula? Here the formula was sum of C5 to H5 and here the formula is sum of C6 to H6. How this has changed? Because Excel has this feature, when we copy this formula down, automatically it takes the next cell in the formula. C6 becomes C7, H6 becomes S7 in this case. Now here we need to calculate interest on the deposits. Now here the case is slightly tricky because we need to calculate interest on the deposit and this interest rate is 4%. 4% is common for all these account holders and this 4% is written in only one cell. So every time we need to take this deposit, multiply by this 4% and like that. So we are learning how to lock the cell. That means how to use absolute reference. So here the formula will be deposit into 4%, this cell. So this cell into this cell. So I will go ahead and put the formula is equal to this cell, that is I5 into this cell, that is M4, where the 4% is written. So 4% of 2,75,000 and I will just enter. If I copy this down, what is happening? Why I am not getting the correct answer for all other cells? Because here the formula was I5 into M4, this cell into this cell, but here the Excel has taken the next cell instead of M4. Here the Excel has again gone down and taken the next cell where the no value is there. That is the reason we are getting 0, 0, 0. How to solve this problem? So to solve this problem, we need to lock this cell in the formula. Lock this cell in the formula. So that I will put the formula now is equal to deposit I5. This I am not going to lock because I want Excel to pick up the next value when I copy the formula from top to bottom into this particular cell, and I want Excel to pick up this cell, the value from this cell, that is M4, again and again, even if I copy the formula down. So M4 should not change to M5, M6, M7 like that. So for that I will press function key F4 one time only. If I press the function key one time, what is happening here? The dollar sign is being put two dollar signs before one M and before the 4. So the whole cell is locked. And then I will say enter, and then I will copy this down and see whether I am getting correct answer or not. So here the formula was I5 into M4. Next the formula is changed to I6, which is the correct value. So it has picked up this value which I want to pick the Excel. But for M4, it has not changed to M5. So again here it has picked the 4% only. Here also it has picked up 4% only, and here also it has picked up 4%. How did this happen? Because we lock the cell by using the function key F4. So if you use the function key F4, the whole cell gets locked. That is the use of absolute reference. So whenever we want Excel to pick up the value from one particular cell in the formula, make sure that you lock the cell with the help of function key F4. Now we are going to learn a very interesting use of cell reference, and very useful use of cell reference, and that is called as a mixed cell reference. Now suppose we have this huge database. Now this database is very small which I created, but imagine this is a huge database. What is this database? We have some car models and their servicing cost written over here, and this is the quantity of servicing that each client is doing. Say in a year he is doing 2 times, in a year this guy is doing 5 times and 6 times and like that. So we want to calculate the total cost of servicing. So for this particular sale we want to multiply 20,000 into 2, and for this particular sale we want to multiply 20,000 into 5, and for this cell 20,000 into 6. Similarly for all other cells, this cell into this cell, this cell into this cell will come over here like that. But every time I do not want to create a formula in each of these cells. What I want to do, because this data is huge, what I want to do, I want to create a formula in one cell which can be copied horizontally and vertically in all the database. How do you do that? Suppose if I use this formula, simple formula is equal to this cell, that is C6, into this cell, that is D5, and enter. If I copy this formula horizontally, Control R, am I getting the correct value? No. Why? Because this cell has changed to this cell. Horizontally it has moved correctly, but this 20,000 now is changed to 40,000, which I do not want. I want this 20,000 remain as such, and every time this should taken as 10,000. If I copy this formula down, what will happen? Again this formula is wrong, because here it has taken C7, that is this cell, into D6. D6 is 40,000 and not the 2. I want this remain as a 2. So with there what we are going to use is called as a mixed reference. So I will delete this, and we will learn slowly one by one how to use the mixed reference. So first the formula is very simple, this cell into this cell, but the cell reference locking is very important. Here we are not going to lock the whole cell, we are going to lock the cell on one cell on column and the other cell on the row, so that it picks up correct value. So first of all I will go ahead, is equal to, I will pick up this cell, that is C6. Now C6, when I pick this cell, what I want Excel to do, when I copy the formula from here to here, that is horizontally in a row, I don't want Excel to move from column to column. That means C6 should not change to D6, which was the case earlier when I copy the formula horizontally. So I want this C6 to remain as C6 only when I copy the formula horizontally. But when I copy the formula vertically, from this cell to this cell, I want this C6 to change to D6 because the next model is Bugatti, and the next for next cell, this particular cell, this C6 C7 should change to C8 and C9 and C. So I want the Excel to move from row to row, but I do not want Excel to move from column to column when I copy the formula from here to here. So this particular cell I will lock on the column and I will keep the row free, so that C6 will change to C7, C7 to C8 and like that, but C6 will not change to D6, E6 like that. So to lock the cell on column, I need to press F4 3 times. If I press 1 time, the whole cell will lock. I don't want that. If I press 2 times, the cell will lock on row. No, I want cell to lock on column. So it should not change from column to column, but it should change from row to row. Now if you see, the dollar sign is there, only one dollar sign, and that dollar sign is before the letter and not before the number, and letter represent columns like here DCE. So if the dollar sign is before the letter, that means this cell is locked on column, and there is no dollar sign before the number, that means the row is free, because rows are represented by numbers. So it can, C6 will change to C8, C7, C8 like that, but C6 will not change to D6 when I copy the formula horizontally. Okay, so that is for C6 cell. Now C6 should be multipliable with this one, that is D5. So into this particular cell, that is D5. Now what about D5? When I want to move from this cell to this cell horizontally, what I want this cell should be it should change from column to column. Now D5 should change to this D5 here, this particular cell where 2 is written. D5 should change to E5 where the 5 is written, and then it should change to F5 and then G5 like that. But when I copy the formula from top to bottom, this D5, that is the value which is written in green, right? This D5 should not change to D6, D7 like that. It should pick up the value from D5 again and again when I copy the formula down. Okay, so that is the reason this particular D5 cell I will lock on the row and keep the column free, because it will move from column to column, but it should not move from row to row like here. For that I will lock the cell, this D5 cell, on the row, and for locking the cell on the row, F4 need to be pressed 2 times. 1, 2. So now if you see here, the dollar sign is before the number and not before the letter. That means this particular cell, that is D5, is free to move from column to column, but it is locked on row to row. So row number, it will not move from D5 to D6 when I copy the formula down, but it will move from D5 to E5 to F5, because this is what I want. I want to Excel to pick up these green values. So it will move from D5, D6, like that, but it will not move from D5 to D6 when I copy the formula from top to bottom. So this is the formula. Have a look at it again. I have locked the first cell on the column because I do not want this cell moved from column to column, and I lock the second cell, that is this particular cell, on the row, because I do not want this cell to move from row to row when I copy the formula from top to bottom. And this completes this. This was a simple formula. This can be used in VLOOKUP as well. You need to understand the logic behind that. Now if I copy the formula horizontally and then I copy the formula to the whole database, what will happen? Am I getting the correct value? Yes. I will check that. 15,000 into 2, 30,000. 15,000 into 5, 75,000. 15,000 into 6, 90,000. Similarly, other values: 2,000 into 2, 5,000. 2,000 into 5, 12,500, and like that. So I am getting correct values. I had just created a formula only in one cell, which I copied from here to here. This is a use of mixed reference, very useful, and very you can impress others with this particular trick. So I hope you like this video. If you like this video, don't forget to forward to those who need to know this trick, and don't forget to like and comment if you want to see such kind of more videos. Thank you very much and see you in the next video.